I've invited 4 senior faculty with very, very different backgrounds to tell you what has animated them. Not the detailed science of what they're treating, not the nuance of the complications of the diseases which they see daily, or the scientific problems which they're tackling. But I've asked them to relate how they got to where they are.
You know, when I was born, my parents were medical missionaries in the Belgian Congo, where the ratio of doctors to patients was 1 to 30,000. And pretty much that's the reality that I was born into, and my parents devoted their whole lives to trying to get good health to as many people as they possibly could. Good health regardless of the color of your skin, and good health regardless of how poor or how educated you were. And I continued to see this during their work in Haiti at the Albert Schweitzer Hospital, which is an interesting place where I had the privilege of growing up from age 4 to 14. That's the place that was suffused with the ethos of Albert Schweitzer's philosophy of reverence for life. In fact, it was chiseled in the walls of the institution. These words, I'm going to read them so I don't get off track, Dr. Henrich. He says, "Compassion, in which all ethics must take root, can only attain its full breadth and depth if it embraces all living creatures. I can do no other than to have reverence before all that is called life. I can do no other than to have compassion for all that is called life." That is the beginning and the foundation of all ethics. Stop for a minute and think about the last time you were sick, like really sick, and needed help from a professional. And if you weren't sick, think about the last time a close loved one of yours was really in pain or suffering. What kind of person did you hope to encounter at the other end of the stethoscope? But our mission is to teach ethics and professionalism to medical students and health professionals while nurturing empathy and humanitarian values.
So I thought, if it's all right, I would tell you all a story about a patient who sort of is the reason that I do what I do. His name's, I'm going to call him Robert. And I first met him and I didn't like him, which was not exactly fair to Robert because I didn't like him even before I had met him. And it's because I was sent to the intensive care unit to meet him, and I was told, you have to go sort this person out. He's going to be your clinic patient, and he was just diagnosed with HIV, but he won't tell his fiance. And so I decided to just get it over with. I'm here for really one reason, to introduce myself and to convince him to tell his fiance. And I said, look, I know that you've just been diagnosed and that this is very difficult, but it's really important for you to tell the people you care about your diagnosis. And then he looks at me and says, I know I have to tell her. I don't know if I can tell her today. Because, you see, I'm the one who pays her tuition for school. I'm the one who takes care of her. And if I die, how's she going to go to school? Who's going to pay her tuition? And so I look at Robert and I say, you're not going to die, which is not what you are supposed to tell someone. And so for the next several months, Robert and I work really hard on him not dying. But I'm happy to say that he's all right. And I know this because I recently got to dance at his wedding. The last 20 years have been a biomedical miracle as far as HIV treatment. I can now give patients in my clinic this morning 1 pill once a day, and they will live a normal life. Partially in response to research done by all of us, including people at UT Health San Antonio, I'm proud to say.
When I turned 14, the neighborhood that I lived in got pretty rough. And I have to say that my neighbors were predominantly drug addicts or prostitutes or working in various areas that were unsavory to one degree or another. And when things got particularly rough and one neighbor killed another, my father decided it was time for us to get out. As I was going through high school, I had done unusually well. I can't particularly say why, it just happened that way. And a high school counselor noticed that, saw some of my scores, and convinced my parents that I should spend a summer in Massachusetts at Andover Phillips Academy. Very clear to me, had my father not made the move that he did, for which I was bitter at the time, I would never be here. None of this would have happened. And so it took some time for me to reflect and understand it, but it was pivotal. Just like that high school guidance counselor who took the time to work with me and my parents and convince them to let me take a trip that they had never even been to Massachusetts before, and let me go, how pivotal that was in my life. When I graduated from MIT and I got accepted into medical school, I came back and spent just under a year in San Antonio working as a technician so I could afford to get married. And I went and visited that high school guidance counselor, and I told her, thank you. She changed my life. We don't do that enough. We don't thank the people that change our lives.
The theme of the rest of the talk is going to be, well, it's not good enough. So I got to college and I didn't have a lot of direction. I ended up at a little liberal arts school in New England, and decided being a veterinarian wasn't good enough. I needed to do something bigger than that, something where I could really make a bigger difference. So I decided I wanted to be a surgeon. So I met with my advisor in college, and he promptly laughed at me and said that, well, we've been around 100 years and nobody has gone to medical school. But I did. And as soon as I started my residency, I realized that much of what I had thought about orthopedic surgery just wasn't good enough. So in my travels, I came here and I met Bill and Carlos Resende and Francisco, the prior dean. And my sense of the interview here was, how are things here? And they said, things are pretty good, but they're not quite good enough. So I found a home, and I think we share the same attitude that we're pretty good here, but I think we all feel like every day we want to come to work, roll up our sleeves, make things better for our patients most importantly, but our faculty, our researchers, our students.
Well, I hope that this has been meaningful and helpful to you for you to understand a little bit better what lies at the heart of our place. These are great people. Big hand for them. Thank you all for coming today.